The life of a hardcore jigsaw puzzler is tough. There's danger around every corner. You gotta keep your head on a swivel. But honestly, kids, you want to be smart and don't start. The puzzling game isn't for everybody. For too long, you'll be making bad decisions, cutting school to get that puzzle fix, leaving work early, gotta get those pieces sorted, or the most heinous crime of all, breaking into a thrift store. So we got a lot to talk about today. Welcome to Janky Puzzles. Let's get this box open and get this sorted, all right? Welcome back to Janky Puzzles. Like I said, we got a whole lot to talk about today. So this puzzle today is a fun one. In fact, I didn't even cover it up yet because, and actually I had to film this standing up because it's so big. This is by far the biggest puzzle we've covered on this show, except for maybe the Disney one. This one I think is just about as big. It's 24 by 36. It is a big one. And we're just going to get right into it. And don't worry, we'll talk about what we were just talking about here in a little bit. So first, like I said, I want to talk about this puzzle. So this puzzle is from Hallmark, a Springbok one. Now, this is our second Springbok in a row, specifically from Hallmark, but there's a reason why we're going to cover this one. So let's just get right into the box. Here we go. This is the Mountainside Park, 1,000-piece from the old Hallmark Corporation when they owned Springbok. This was from 1979. And the artist of this is a really cool guy. And his name was Robert Blair Martin. Okay, he was born in Chicago in 1950. He passed away in 2006. He's only 56 years old, which is kind of, I don't know. I'm 45, so it was kind of, I don't know, kind of hit you in the feels there a little bit. But what he was known for was this very busy, very bright, I actually say busy is not even the right term to describe it. This is just nuts. This is just buck nuts. This is a whole mountain, and it's all just a bunch of recreational things to do from 1979. Very cool. This art is actually reminiscent to me of like Mad Magazine. Are you kidding me? I have a stack of them somewhere here. Very like an Al Jaffe type of art style from Mad Magazine. That's just what this looks like. And I'll have some close-ups, obviously. I mean, we could take a walk around this thing. This thing is nuts. There's golfers, tennis players, skiing, hot air ballooning, all sorts of stuff. I mean, you can go through an hour and go through and pick things out. I enjoyed the heck out of this. When I built it, I had to use the method I've talked about a few times. And instead of just like starting here and then building out, you can literally just like pick up a piece, find it on the board, and then just put it there and do the next one and just put it about where it goes. And then they will start to congeal, so to speak, and kind of gel up. And as you go along, eventually you have this nice finished puzzle, which 1,000 pieces for Springbok is kind of tough because like all these ones, you can't really sort them that easily. However, a puzzle like this was really fun. You also can't really do the border first. I mean, you can, but it's not very fun because for this one here, the border, let me get my pool cue here, world famous puzzle table. The border, almost the whole border is the single color green. Well, I mean, there's some gradient to it, but Um, so to just sort those is kind of tough because you'll have the light green up here, the light green there, and a little bit tougher. It's almost easier just to kind of build on the inside and move out. Now, the cool thing too about this one, about again with these Hallmark puzzles from this time of history, was that they have poems on the back. If you saw our spooky doll episode not too long ago, there was a really cool poem on the back that was pretty much Jessie from Toy Story 2's story. And this one's kind of cool. It's not as like sad. It's actually more fun. I mean, everything about this is fun. So let's go ahead and read this real quick, all right? I'm not going to bore you with this long, dramatic reading, all right? We're just going to we'll just have a nice little story time here. And then we'll get to some really cool stories. So the Mountainside Park. There's a mountain of pleasure that all people treasure, from earliest morning till long after dark. Every sport, every game, everything you can name, it is fun, and you'll find the Mountainside Park. Surfers and sailors and mountainside scalers are riding and gliding and climbing the walls, while Maurice the Magnificent acrobat cycles across the tightrope over Mountainside Falls. The rhyming kind of jumps around a little bit, but it's there. Hot Rod and Magooler is racing his fueler. The Mountainside Pucksters are all on the ice. The skeet shooting's booming, and so is ballooning. The outdoors is in at this peak paradise. The archers all aim for a straight, steady game. If you like to skidoo, well then they've got 23. There's curling and hurling and ice skater twirling. The golf course is suited for golf to a tee. Some take a liking to mountainside hiking, while others like baseball and some like to fish. The go-karts all roar. There are picnics galore. This park you can do just whatever you wish. If you're looking for fun, there's a place in the sun where the spirits are high, where life is a lark. Just pack up the car with the kids and come join us. For life is the greatest in Mountainside Park. God, I love these poems on the backs of these puzzles. It's a bummer that you don't see this too often anymore. It really is a bummer. Now, as I was reading this, there is something on here that kind of made me chuckle. So right now, if you have a kid or niece or nephew, or you're around kids, or you have 2 eyes and ears, you hear this like 6, 7 that all the kids are into. They think it's hilarious. And at first, like, it's annoying because us older people don't get it. I work at a school, so yeah, I got it. Well, I had to look it up and see what it meant. And it's basically just some slang they heard somewhere that they liked. There was a Nickelodeon one, like 42 or something like that, with SpongeBob. And if you're really crass and Gen X, you think the 69 is kind of funny from The Office. But what is on here is actually one from like the 40s and 50s that I always thought was hilarious, and that was 23 Skidoo. And that's right on there. 1, 2, 23 Skidoo. That's hilarious to me. And the fact that it was put onto this one, and there's a counterpart to it nowadays. It's kind of cool. I like that. I like when that kind of stuff kind of happens. So I know it's kind of weird that I'm so close, but again, I had to have this back to fit in the screen. So out here in the puzzle, in the puzzle vault, I've got a narrow, like right here, there's a bookshelf, and then right over there on that side, it's like some boxes and stuff. So I got this little window here. That's why I'm so close and in your face. So Robert Blair Martin, like I said, the artist, was really cool. He specialized in these sort of things. He worked for Hallmark. He did cards. He did a lot of art for Hallmark. And actually, I actually have a couple examples of his work. I've got this one here, very similar to this one. This one is a short round of golf. is a mini golf course. It's only a 500 piece puzzle, but it's the same concept. It's this big, busy, lots of little details, almost kind of like a Where's Waldo. And you can kind of follow through, like, yeah, it's really, really cool. I really like this. It kind of also reminds me of Kathy from the 80s. If you really look at some of these people, kind of got a Kathy vibe to them. Yeah, so this is a short round of golf, which is funny that it's a 500 piece puzzle and it's only 20 by 20. So this is actually a square as opposed to a poster size like this one. Sadly, no poem, but that's all right. This one is dated. Oh, I don't know if this one has a year on it. My guess is I would put this around the same time. This is probably late 70s, early 80s. Since the package is so much smaller and there's nothing on the back, it's a little bit more clean and you could ship out a lot more than you could with these bigger boxes like this. I worked in retail for like 25 years, so you could see where to ship out a case of these would be a lot cheaper than shipping out a case of those. So my guess is that this came out after, probably around the early 80s. And I've got another one to show you. There's a couple more out there, and I don't have my hands on one that I would like, but let's show this one, and then I'll talk to you about the other one that I like. So this one, and I didn't realize how in demand this one was. It was gifted to me by a good friend of mine. This is Verticalville. How cool is this? Verticalville. It's a whole city all stacked up. Okay, isn't that cool? They made this one, and they also made Verticalville 2, but it looks a little bit different. I'm not going to get, and there is a poem on this, on the back of this one. However, I'm not going to get into that one because down the line, we're definitely going to cover Verticalville. And if I can get my hands on Verticalville 2, that would be cool. And he also did one that was like a UFO and a couple others, but call to action, okay? If you by chance have or know of somebody that has the UFO one, which I'll put a picture of right here, comment on the bottom or email me at jankypuzzles@gmail. I'd like to talk to you, or at least, work out something, right? So, Robert Blair Martin, you are an amazing artist. Sadly, you're no longer with us anymore, but thank you for sharing, because you actually had a very specific style that was chef kiss perfect for your era. And I love it so much. This is one that you would definitely want to frame and put in a guest room, or like a den, or if you own or operate a B&B, not a B&B, excuse me, an Airbnb, something like this would be cool to frame and hang up in your Airbnb. That is really cool. So why are we here today, though? Let me get that out of my hand here. So I am my whole life, from when I was young enough to even have my wits about myself, I really enjoyed the arts. I enjoyed acting. I loved stand-up comedy, theater, all that stuff. I can remember being a little boy watching Evening at the Improv, Caroline's Comedy Hour, all these different like HBO, Showtime, at the Apollo, things like that. I was very, very much interested in stand-up comedy and performing and things like that, to the point that as I've gotten older, I've continued through that. I've done some theater. I've done some, like I said, stand-up comedy. I was in a couple short films. I was in a film. I got to be in one of the old pictures in one of the old videos I talked about a billboard I got to be on with Kellen Moore. I did burlesque for a while. I did circus work. I don't know. I just always really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed acting, and I really enjoyed be able to perform for people, to I don't know, make them laugh, whatever, you know. Like I said, when I was a kid, I was really into that. My dad was a man's man. He hunted and he chopped his own wood, and he was a proud card-carrying member of the NRA, and he was just like I said, a manly man. Me, on the other hand, he would take me hunting or to go collect firewood, and I would sit on the side of a hill and play with the Game Boy. I was pretty much Bobby Hill to my dad's Hank Hill. But performing in theater was something that I always have been in. At any point in my life, I'm always doing something. I had a podcast for a while where we talked about bad movies that weren't bad at all. They were actually great movies that people don't like. All sorts of cool stuff. So why am I talking about this? Because something happened recently. Now, okay, so a couple days ago, I was putting this together. I was filming everything. I got through everything that I wanted to talk about. And then I went to the computer, or I sat back to watch the footage to make sure that it was okay. And for some reason, halfway through, I completely lost all audio. Absolutely nothing there. It was just me. No audio whatsoever. So I watched through the footage, and here it is about 2 days later. I was able to set everything back up, and here we are. Hastily, by the way. This isn't as pretty as it was, but that's okay. So a couple things, and then we'll get back to where we left off. So as I was looking at the footage, I kept talking about how big this puzzle is, but it'd never give it really justice because it just looks really small in this. But if I walk back here, I'm about lined up with the top of it right here. I mean, this thing is big, and it's at an almost a 45-degree angle. So let me see if I can't. I love the puzzle. I love the art board, but it is finicky, and I don't want this to fall. Yeah, it's huge, and you can kind of see it better. And I have to have a cardboard between the puzzle board and the puzzle because it's just so big that the puzzle board, I mean, you could see where it starts, like right here. So this thing would just flop off of it, and it would be awful. So yeah, this is big, and I just don't think I gave it justice the first go around. So, and then also too, I felt like I was being rambly with my artistic endeavors. As far as I by no means was trying to brag or anything like that. Most of everything I've ever done has been for free, for volunteer, or just for funsies. If you could probably take every dime I ever made doing anything artistic or creative, you have enough money to buy this like $40 puzzle board and a hamburger. So please don't think that I was trying to be bragging. I was just trying to get a point across that I've done some theater, and I've done some acting, and some performing in front of people. Of course, when I'm sitting here by myself in the garage, the puzzle vault, it is kind of weird to just feel like I'm talking to myself, but that's okay. I'm getting used to this. Anyway, so let's rewind the story just a little bit. Did a lot of acting, a lot of theater. And one of the things that you have to be aware of, or something to take into account when you are doing theater, is rehearsal space. You might not think it's important. It's insanely important. I am in a theater group right now, and more on that here in a little bit. I'm in a theater troupe right now. There's a group of us, and we don't. It's kind of like Monty Python, Kids in the Hall. Like, we play different characters for different shows, which I love. I love this kind of theater because I like playing different characters for different things. Um, so the however, the theater, the rehearsal space is a hard thing. If you've ever done any kind of rehearsals for a play, dancing, any type of theater, even movie film, like sometimes you want to like short films, it's easy, it's nice to rehearse before you get there if you're filming something. So it's way important. That's why a lot of like established theaters, like in your town, if you have like a theater, like a theater that does plays, most of the time they can either use that stage as their rehearsal space, or if they're really big and established, they have the theater space and they have a rehearsal space. Boise Online, Boise Little Theater here in town has that. We have a stage. Anyway, rehearsal space. It's very hard. With my little trip that I've been, we've done rehearsing in elementary school gymnasiums, dance studios, the park, people's houses, anywhere we can kind of cram our little selves into is where we'll rehearse at. And our latest production is no different. And where we were able to, the location we were able to find was so generously donated to us, was it's a community center. This community center is, it's a very beautiful place, and it's a very, they're literally doing the Lord's work there. They have a rehearsal space, a community center, place that you could rent for parties, quinceañeras, weddings, and stuff like that. We even one night we actually stopped by there, and they were having like a Nigerian wedding there. It was awesome. Everybody was so nice, and everybody just looked amazing. So it was really cool. And then connected to the rehearsal space is a food bank. They have a little food kitchen there, and as well as a community kitchen that you can actually cook food in. Very cool. All right. And then connected to down farther, they have a community closet / thrift store. You can actually go and buy used things. Almost everything you see behind me, all all that is stuff that I've gotten from the thrift stores or been given to me. It's very rare that I own or buy a brand new puzzle. I've got a few, but it's very rare. Anyway, so that is very cool. I mean, that's right up my alley. Community space to help the community, a food bank, a function that's very near and dear to my heart, and then a thrift store, which is one of my passions in life. So, so we were practicing at this location, and here's where here's where I found myself on the opposite side of the law, potentially. So we're at the rehearsal space. Everyone's having a good time. With this particular production, my part is small. There are no small parts, just small actors. I have sat and done rehearsal for hours and said one line, and then it's done. So my part is small for this, which is fine. I don't care if I'm the lead or a small part. I just love being involved, right? So during the downtime between scenes, I had the opportunity to. I noticed that the rehearsal space and the food bank and the thrift store are all connected by these pull-out gates, right? Every time we'd been there before, separated by pull-out gates, except for one fateful night. We're there practicing in our normal practice time, and down the hallway that connects these three places, all those gates were open. The food pantry area and the thrift store. So, innocently enough, I don't like to just sit during breaks. I get up and I walk around, and I put my hands behind my back, just taking a little stroll, and I walked down the hallway. There's actually a restroom down that hallway, and I was going to stop to use that. As I left the restroom, seeing that the gate to the thrift store was open, and everybody was busy with what they were doing on the other side, I thought, well, I haven't had a chance to come down to this thrift store, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go check it out. I've got time to kill, and so I go check it out. And I wander down there. The gate is open. I walk in. And once I'm in there looking around, I noticed half these lights are off. Why is that weird? Why is that happening, that the lights are off? And half of them. I was like, well, that's odd. But, this happened in the summer, so it's still bright because there's windows. And I'm looking, and then, I wander down the aisle and head towards where the games and puzzles are, obviously. And I stop and I look and I pick up the box to this puzzle. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I look at it. Very cool. Well, and I look around. Like, well, very cool. And I put it down. And I look around to see nothing else was really catching my eye except this. And well, there's nothing seen me today. So as I turned to leave, I was going to say goodbye to the clerk. And that's when I realized there was no clerk. And the reason that the lights were half off was because it was closed. This gate that led back to the other parts of this building kind of bypassed the front door that's open to the public, and that's when I looked over and realized that the closed sign was out. And I was technically in a closed establishment outside of working hours. Like, ooh, whoops-a-daisy. So off I go, right? Think nothing of it. I go back to my thing, do my practice, whatever. I'm glad-handing everybody. All right, love you all. See you next time. And off I go. 2 days later, we have a group chat for all the people in the group. Hey, 911 emergency. It's come to our attention that at some point during practice the other day, one of our members went into the thrift store and they weren't supposed to be there. We got word from the manager of the thrift store that somebody broke in. Now, we don't know who it is. We're going to go meet with them, but this is an opportunity. If you know something or something you want to let us to be known, now is the time. I'm like, well, I'm a lot of things, but I'm not a liar. And so I immediately messaged the people in charge of our little group and said, hey, look, listen, that was me. I went into the thrift store. I didn't quite realize that it was closed. I looked at a couple things, left, realized it was closed, hightailed it out of there. I wasn't my intention to break in. The gate was open. Obviously, the gate is inside and not the front door. And so that was me. And they thanked me. And they said that, they wanted to give whoever it was a chance to say something because they were going to go look at the cameras anyway to just make sure everything was okay. And they wanted to make sure that they were good representation with the respecting the space that we've been given. And I understood that. I'm like, well, yeah, absolutely. I am so sorry. You know, I didn't take anything. That wasn't my intention. They went and talked to the manager of the thrift store. They looked at the camera. They saw myself mumbling around, looking at this puzzle, looking at the Mountainside Park puzzle, putting it down, leaving. So it was tense though, because technically they could have called the authorities, or they could have filed a complaint with the authorities, because for every intents and purposes, I was trespassing. Kind of teeth rattling moments for just a little bit while they were there. I was at work at the time. They had messaged me while I was at work that they were going to meet the management of the place. Thankfully, the manager of the location and with the leaders of my group, things were smoothed over. In fact, they had a big laugh over the whole situation. And there's a reason why they had a big laugh over the situation. So this theater group I'm in is called the Treasure Valley Studios. Treasure Valley Studios, we do theater productions for kids dressed usually as superheroes. We've done Marvel, we've done DC, we have some K-pop Demon Hunter stuff coming up. We've done lots of things. And on this night that I inadvertently broke into a thrift store, I was in my full costume for our Batman themed show, and I was dressed as the Penguin who had escaped from Arkham Asylum. So I was wearing this, an orange jumpsuit with my penguin top hat and suspenders and monocle. I couldn't have looked more like a villain if I was wearing a black mask and I had a big duffel bag with a dollar sign on it. That's what made it so crazy for the folks at the thrift store, why this cartoonish villain, albeit in an orange jumpsuit, was bumbling around in their thrift store after hours. So that's the story of the time that I broke into a thrift store and almost ended up in the clink. Now, there's one last part of this that I think is just hysterical. And this is actually something that I have never told anybody until just now. Well, I've never told anybody that was familiar with this group till just now. When I saw the leadership of my, the guys that are in charge of our Treasure Valley Studios, when I saw them last and we shared a laugh, they actually presented me. They said, "Well, we got you a little something. This puzzle. You had looked at it like you really liked it, obviously in the video, and we thought it was a good souvenir for the time that this happened." I was so grateful. I am so thankful for this puzzle and for this to have happened. Okay. Now here's what I've never told anybody, any of the people in the studios. The reason why I picked this up to look at it in the video, it's because I already had it. I picked it up to look at it to make sure that it was the one that I had, because it's like, oh, is that the same one? Yep, that's Mountainside Park. So now I have 2 copies of Mountainside Park, thanks to the Treasure Valley Studios. And the time I broke into a thrift store. So anyway, I'm going to be finding a new home for one of these, if not both of them. So thank you for listening to me tell that story. Breaking into a thrift store. With that, we're going to say goodbye to the Mountainside Park from Springbok Hallmark. I promise our next one won't be a Springbok or a Hallmark one. We got some new stuff coming. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to do stuff underneath. Lets YouTube know that you care about what we do. I had a dream, a lofty pie in the sky dream, to hit 500 subscribers by the end of the year. But I'm also a realist, and I adjusted. So you know what? If I can get close to 250 subscribers by the end of the year, that would be fantastic. I'm not in this to like make money or anything like that. I just want to share my love of puzzles, vintage puzzles, with as many people as I can. And I'm proud to say that as of 2 days ago, the same day that I recorded the first half of this video, we hit 250 subscribers. So thank you, everybody. That's very cool. And yeah, we've got some cool stuff coming. And don't break into thrift stores. Keep your nose clean. Stay free. Have enough self-awareness to know when you're walking into some place that's closed. So, like I said, do good things and be good people. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Hey, come on back. We're gonna put a puzzle together. Thanks.